Hello everybody, I'm Jim Raymond with the State Recovery Task Force at the Colorado Emergency Operations Center. State agencies in the State Recovery Task Force provide local assistance on recovery throughout the state of Colorado. One thing that we've heard a lot about is how important tourism is to Colorado. We intuitively know this, but I thought we should take a deeper dive into exactly what the impacts are as a result of COVID on tourism in Colorado. So let's take a look at what tourism means to Colorado, what's being done to counter the slowdown as a result of COVID, and who at the state is helping us solve some of these problems in recovery. You'll be surprised at what you find, and the work being done behind the scenes is very impressive on how your communities are being supported from tourism efforts across the state. I'd like to welcome Kathy Ritter. She's the director of the Colorado Tourism Office. We're socially distanced in the beautiful Colorado outdoors. Kathy, thanks so much for being here. First, can we talk a little bit about what really is the impact to Colorado as a result of tourism? Can you provide us some context on what does it really mean?
Jim, I just want to thank you so much for shining a spotlight on tourism. Tourism is really Colorado's signature industry. It's what people across our nation often think of when they think of Colorado. And tourism is one of the two industries most devastated by COVID containment. That's showing up in job losses across the nation. Tourism unemployment accounts for about 38% of all unemployment nationally right now. But within tourism, about 51% of all of those working in tourism are unemployed today. In Colorado, we're seeing specific financial impacts. Colorado tourism attracts travelers who spend collectively $24.2 billion in our economy at last count, directly spend that amount of money. That in turn generates $1.5 billion in state and local taxes. About 61% of that amount goes to local governments. And so what we've seen with COVID containment and the very necessary need to contain the spread of coronavirus, we've seen that tourism economy thrown into reverse. We really hit bottom about the middle of April, when traveler spending was down 89% in Colorado. Wow. Compared with the same week a year earlier. We've been inching our way back up. The latest figures from Oxford Economics show that the week ending July 25th, we were down 44% from the same week a year ago. But that has just snowballed into heavy, heavy impact. So at the same time last year, we had generated more than $8.5 billion in traveler spending. We're down to about a little under $3 billion in that same period for this year. And that means we're behind about more than $5 billion in terms of what travelers would be contributing to our economy.
So what kind of activities do people come to Colorado to do?
Well, there's these things that Colorado is known for. The large majority of our travelers during the summer come for hiking and backpacking, scenic drives, visiting state and national parks, and of course visiting our historic sites. During the winter, we're the most famous. We're the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to skiing and snowboarding. So we have far more skiers and snowboarders than anyone else in the continental United States, because we are, the premier destination for skiing and snowboarding in North America. So we're coming up now on a season. We've actually been doing pretty well in the mountain towns. I think a lot of people maybe mistakenly thinking that tourism is back, because we've seen this influx of a lot of Coloradans and people from other states heading into our mountain towns because those are naturally socially distancing travel opportunities, and that's what people are craving this year. Like no recent year, people have been renting RVs, camping, getting out into the outdoors. It's almost creating a new problem in that so many people are going to the outdoors who have no knowledge about of how to operate in the outdoors and in the backcountry, and getting themselves into trouble sometimes. But it's a very different picture, in places like Denver and along the Front Range that generally have been tourism powerhouses in recent years. And they're really suffering from, empty hotel rooms, restaurants that aren't able to operate at capacity at this point. attractions that are still closed down. The Denver Museum of Nature and Science, where we are right now, is one of the few major cultural institutions that is open in Denver. So it's a very dire picture in some ways for tourism and people who are dependent on tourism for their livelihoods.
When I took a look at some of the activities that the tourism office is engaged in and the messages that you're trying to get out, I was absolutely stunned at how much work is being done to try to counter this slowdown. So let's talk a little bit about what actually the tourism office is doing and how is that translating into helping our local communities?
Well, Jim, we started off with introducing a message about how people should travel in these times, because we were hearing early on a lot of concern from communities who had made so many sacrifices during the shutdown, and they were very reluctant to open their doors to visitors who might not be respecting the kinds of procedures that have been put in place to keep everybody safe. And we knew it was going to be very important for the success of the return of the tourism economy to make certain we were educating travelers about how to behave, when they showed up in all of our communities, to keep themselves safe, but also to keep the people who call those destinations home safe as well. And so this is really translated into a new interpretation of what we call responsible tourism. And so now we're saying, in addition to protecting our natural resources, show care for other people, show care for the safety of others that you're encountering. And so we called this initiative Care for Coloradans, and the centerpiece of that is a 45-second video that really talks about 5 steps that everybody can take to keep themselves and others safe. And so we have, we're Colorado Tourism, so we make this fun,
right.
But we use lines like, how about a ski between you and me? And keep a mask in your pocket in case you need to rock it. So we're trying to share this message in kind of a fun and memorable way without making people feel like they're being preached at, because nobody really likes being preached at, right?
So it sounds like communities really do understand that, or they should understand that you're really trying to encourage tourism, but doing it responsibly.
Correct.
And so we're really encouraging tourism across the state.
Absolutely. So that's how we started. We talked about how people should travel when they do travel, and then we shifted our message into why it's important for people to travel, because we, in a very real way, wanted to communicate to Coloradans, giving them permission to travel, because I think a lot of people who've been staying at home think, well, is it really responsible? Is it wise to travel and get out? And so if you take the proper precautions, it certainly is, but by traveling, you're helping restore the Colorado economy. You're helping restore people's jobs. And so that video has lines like, when you climb our mountains, you lift up your neighbors. When you leave your home, you support others. So that's the way that we were trying to help people understand that by going out to restaurants, by staying in a hotel, by spending into their state's economy, they're helping regenerate those jobs, tax revenues that have been lost to us, because tourism has been shut down.
Well, that's a really important message. How do you communicate to local governments? Are there organizations across the state in the local communities that you work with and share this message with, so that they can in turn create this consistent message across the state?
Yes, and in fact, every bit of that communication material I was describing to you, Jim, is available in an industry toolkit on Colorado.com, and we make that available to anyone, even a private citizen who wants to take those messages and reshare them. But our office works very closely with destination organizations across the state, and sometimes they have names like the Aspen Resort Chamber Association, or sometimes they're, in Durango, it's the Durango Area Tourism Organization, or in Denver, it's Visit Denver. So there's these organizations in many of our major destinations. We call those our industry partners. We work very closely with them, and we count on them to help amplify those messages. But another step that we took that was a little unusual this year, again, because we knew that not every destination was comfortable yet with accepting visitors into their midst, we asked each destination to tell us if they were ready to be promoted this year. And so with our in-state campaign, we have been promoting only those destinations who feel that they are ready to accept visitors.
That's terrific information. You mentioned Colorado.com. Is that the best way for people to get information about the tourism office?
Yes, Colorado.com. We are so fortunate in Colorado to have one of the top performing state websites in the country. We had 10.1 million users visiting Colorado.com last year, so it's an incredibly powerful communications platform. But that's where we send travelers for almost everything. Right now we have a banner across the top explaining to everyone that there is a statewide mask order in place, and to click on a new online resource that we call What's Open in Colorado to find out information about, more information about how the state is managing COVID, and also which destinations are accepting visitors, what's open, and it's really intended to be a guide to help people plan their trips in these times. The other thing we're doing that's a little unusual this year is actively promoting our 1-800-Colorado phone number. So by calling that number, 1-800-Colorado, people can get to a live counselor and just ask them the questions that are on their mind. And so back in the day, 20 years ago, every state tourism office had an 800 number. Well, everyone's been switching to the website, obviously, to house all of the information. But we felt this was a year when people just might need to talk to somebody and get information about, what's really happening out there. What do I need to know if I'm traveling around the state? And where can I get answers to my questions? So that's why we're really promoting the 800 number this year as well.
Well, you're such a positive force for tourism in Colorado and for local communities everywhere. Thank you so much for being here. It was really a terrific conversation, and I really want to impress upon the work that you and your staff are doing for the communities everywhere. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Jim. We so appreciate the opportunity to tell our story, and thank you and all of the emergency services people across Colorado who are doing their best to help us get through this time safely. So thank you.
Well, I couldn't say it any better myself. Thanks so much. There are other recovery videos that are located on our YouTube channel at CO Emergency, and you can search for that and find other recovery videos. But in the meantime, thanks everybody for listening. Be safe and be well.